Morgan Thomas Show. Brought to you by Black's Tire Inc.
Here we go, another Monday night. It's the Morgan Thomas Show with Morgan Thomas. I'm your host and producer, and joining me is my good friend and co-host, Alan Adams. Welcome to the show, Al.
Glad to be here as always, buddy.
You know, I love doing this show, and what can go wrong will go wrong. We always try to do new things. If you notice tonight, Alan, lift your head up a little bit. We try to get rid of that transparency on the hat there. So enjoying that. We switched to a blue screen from a green screen. But anyways, so again, welcome to the show. Man, college football regular season is almost over. I'm excited for it. Wherever you may be watching right now, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and for the first time ever, over on Twitter. So check us out anywhere, really, on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We appreciate you joining us. It's Clemson Talk Show live every Monday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We talk about all things Clemson football, basketball, baseball, whatever's going on, really, and whatever you want to talk about. But you can check us out, again, on Facebook, YouTube, 105.5 and 97.5 FM, The Roar, and anywhere, really, you can watch a podcast or listen to a podcast. So come join us. And, Al, how was your weekend?
Man, it was a good weekend. It was a little slower than usual. I wasn't exactly used to it, but a little bit of napping, a little bit of churching, and a lot of watching football. So it was a good one overall.
Yeah, I had two birthday parties this weekend. I had one, my nephew on Friday night. Happy birthday, Judah. He had like a bouncy house kind of birthday, kind of a warehouse out in the middle of nowhere where they just have a bunch of blow up houses that the kids go crazy.
Yeah.
And then I had my daughter had a friend at church. She had a princess party, Princess Jasmine. Now, I'm not opposed to having a Princess Jasmine party, but I'll tell you, I think that bouncy house in a warehouse, I think that is a very good low-cost business to get into. I mean, you buy 3 or 4 of those things, throw them into some random warehouse somewhere in Easley, and you make mega bucks off of families. Pizza parties, birthday parties, just having plain old fun parties. I mean, all you need is socks, and you're good to go. So, hey, and you know what? They sign liability waivers. So it's not like you have to have that much of insurance. I guess you still have to have liability insurance. But,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everybody gets a waiver. So, but anyways. So we had a good weekend. Lots of birthday parties, lots of college football, lots of NFL football. Didn't really get to see the Texans, and we got to see them early on Thursday night. They actually beat the Colts, thank goodness, after getting trounced by the Ravens. So Deshaun Watson, good job there. I believe Dabo Swinney was in New York or New Jersey to watch the Jets play the Raiders, and they ended up losing, unfortunately. But it was pretty cool for him to go check out some of those Clemson players. The Raiders have done a lot better with Clemson players, and those first-round draft picks, I think, have been the best stats of all first-round draft picks of any, NFL draft picks of any Raiders class. So that Clemson, I think that's, solidified by Jacobs, but also those Clemson players that they picked up too. So, but hey, again, if you're checking us out, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter tonight, we enjoy you. We appreciate you joining us and supporting the show. Tonight's show main sponsor is Black's Tire Inc. in Westminster, South Carolina. Family owned and operated since 1971. If you need new tires, brakes, alignments, tire repair, or just looking for a friendly professional to help answer your questions, check out Black's Tire Inc., located 1415 East Main Street, Westminster, South Carolina. Give them a call, 864-647-9292. Let me peek in on our social media. Right now, we have 12 over on YouTube. Haven't shared anything with YouTube right now. If you don't mind, like the video and go share it with some of your friends. We'd really appreciate it. Over on Twitter, let me check in. Got one person checking us out on Twitter. It might be me. I don't know. But if I'm watching myself, hey, that's typical. But how many people we got over on Facebook, Al?
Well, I want to say a couple of things. I see several people on Facebook. I see Audrey and Ty and John and Greg. So we got a lot of people over here, actually. And my mom just got in. So it looks like right now we have about 15 Seth's in there as well. Ty did mention that Renfro got hurt. I don't know if you know that, but he got hurt and suffered what appears to be a cracked rib and a punctured lung from the game this past weekend. So we want to kind of wish him, swift recovery. Thoughts and prayers go out to Hunter Renfro and everybody going on there. So also, I want to let everybody know something that is crazy going on Facebook in the comments. I'm trying to sit here and sift through the comments as usual, and all it keeps doing is updating. John is watching, Audrey's watching, Ty's watching, and then it repeats itself over and over and over. So if your comments get buried and I don't get to them, I'm sorry. It's because this thing is repeating so fast that I can't keep up with it. So I've never seen this happen before, but I'm going to try to get it fixed as we move along here. But we do have a lot of people joining in. I see Drew joining on the line as well, so we appreciate everybody getting in.
Yeah, and if you want to get in live, you can at our Buffalo Wild Wings of Greenville, South Carolina hotline. That's 864, 864-772-6674. I almost forgot that there. 864-772-6674 or 864-772-MORG. So go give us a call there. We have 2 open phone lines. They're open for 60 minutes. If you get in for the first 60 minutes of the show, we'll bring you on and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. If you don't want to call, you're a little bit worried about having your voice on live TV, just give us a chat over on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. We would be more than happy to have you join in on the show. But Al, let's get started. Really, segment number 1, I wanted to get into a few questions from the weekend, a few big-time questions that I had, that I saw on Twitter, saw on social media. I think a lot of our fans are going to be interested in what we think, and we really want to know what you think as you're watching, as we're talking about this. The first question of the night is Ohio State the best team in college football? Justin Fields, over 2,300 yards passing, 33 touchdowns, 1 interception. J.K. Dobbins, over 1,400 yards rushing, 15 touchdowns. Chris Olave, 10 touchdowns. Defense, top 10 in total score, passing yards, rushing yards, and yards per play. Offense, top 10, total score, rushing yards, and yards per play. So in your mind, now that you've seen them face their big challenge, everybody was waiting for, Penn State, what do you think? Let us know in the comments. But Al, I want to know what you think about Ohio State.
Well, there's certainly an argument to be made there, but I'd argue right now, actually, that their big challenge comes this week when they face Michigan. I think they've looked incredible this year. It's a lot better than I expected them to look. I wasn't expecting them to be anywhere near the top 4, to be honest with you, at the beginning of the year. Justin Field has been great. Chase Young's been dominant. So, yeah, they're definitely one of the top teams. I think anybody can make a case for LSU, for Ohio State, or Clemson, really, to be honest with you. I mean, last year, I don't want to say they're unbeatable. Obviously, that was kind of the way we raised the initial segment was, are they unbeatable? And I would say, no, they're not unbeatable. I mean, I think Clemson can beat them. Everybody said Alabama was unbeatable last year, and look how that worked out for them, right? So, I think the fact that, they're in the Big Ten, they're not used to facing a bunch of, juggernaut offenses over there. I think that kind of helps make the case against them if you're trying to make one. But again, they've dominated everybody they've played, so they deserve to be where they are. Heck, they may deserve to be number 1, depending on how you look at it, I guess. I just don't think anybody they've played has really been able to match their speed and athleticism. That's something Clemson can do a little better than those other teams for sure. So are they one of the best teams in the country? Absolutely. Are they beatable? Absolutely also.
Yeah, I think we got a little bit more insight on what Ohio State brings to the table. There's a few things that I am a little bit worried about. I think they do have some weapons on the outside with wide receivers, especially Chris Olave. I mean, he's a great wide receiver. I think anybody in the nation would like to have him on their team, especially coming to a little short, stocky guy, 5'10", J.K. Dobbins is just tearing it up. I think there's only one better running back in the nation, and that is Travis Etienne. So Dobbins, I think, somebody that scares me for sure. He's somebody who can get to the outside and just tear you up. And from what I noticed in the beginning couple of quarters for Ohio State, Penn State, it seemed like that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to just run Dobbins to the outside off tackle, to the left, to the right, and he really didn't get stopped much at all. But I feel like that I'm confident in what Clemson can do, specifically because of a lot of things that people have been talking about, and that is the second question, is Justin Fields using cheat codes? Well, the question behind that is, the answer behind that, or the stat behind that, is that Ohio State is converting 58% on third down, best in the country and best in the FBS in a decade. So 10 years, nobody's better on converting third down. Well, I wanted to learn more about this, so I watched the Ohio State-Penn State game, and I'm seeing that they usually, what they'll do, they'll come out in 4 wide, 5 wide, and what do you think happens? The offensive line kind of spreads out the defensive line, and Justin Fields runs the ball. It's almost like clockwork. It doesn't matter what yardage it is, 15, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 11, 4th and 5, 3rd and 2. Every time I saw where a critical situation where they had to get the first down, they had to get a couple of yards, what happened? Justin Fields went for the first down. And again, Penn State fell right into the trap, over pursuing to the outside, blitzing a linebacker to the middle and not letting him spy. Linebacker supposed to be in a spy, gets too anxious and starts blitzing too soon.
Yep.
Guess what happens? Burns him up. Now, Ohio State has done this really well for the entire season. Will they be able to do it against Brent Venables? Well, earlier on in his career, I would say no. I think Brent Venables kind of had some struggles against a running quarterback. I think Brent Venables had some struggles against figuring out how to stop scrambling quarterbacks, even if they weren't running quarterbacks. But now, the way Brent Venables is, and the fact that you've got examples of Frazier from Auburn, you've got examples of Lamar Jackson not being able to win a game against Clemson, even though they weren't necessarily completely contained. I don't think you can contain completely an elite player like Dobbins or Fields.
Right.
But I think that they were stopped just enough and bend, don't break kind of thing. And I think, if anything, this defense matches up great with that kind of quarterback because you got Isaiah Simmons who can hunt down anyone. And he's patient because he's got experience. So I'm leaning more towards Isaiah Simmons on that. Now, last question is, can Clemson stop Chase Young and keep him off of Trevor Lawrence? Now, Chase Young, as you know, he just passed the Ohio State record, 16.5 sacks this year alone, which is crazy to say. But he is definitely a beast. You can't deny that. Even if you're watching it with orange cover glasses, he is an amazing player to watch. I'd love to have him on the defensive line, even though I think this 2020 class is going to have some really stout defensive linemen. We know that. We've covered them. So I don't think Clemson's hurting in that realm. And I think every time Brent Venables is asked about him, I'm sure he chuckles a little bit because he's like, Xavier Thomas, come on. I mean, I know what an elite defensive end looks like. I got one.
Yep.
And so, but more than likely he's going to be on that right-hand side. He's going to be going hard on third down. Will Akram and Cervenka be able to hold him back?
Well, look, there's a difference between stopping somebody and slowing them down. I don't think you're ever going to stop a player like that. He's just too good. Man, he completely dominated Penn State this past weekend for sure. But I think they can slow him down. As a matter of fact, not only can I think they can slow him down, is I think they can, use some play calling to kind of negate that speed rush. You run some screens, you run some delayed screens, you run some things like that, little short passes over the middle, get the ball out fast, that kind of thing. Now, in fairness, that's something Clemson hasn't done a lot of this year. I think they're going to have to do that here in the near future, not only against South Carolina, who I think is a little vulnerable there, which we'll talk a little more about later, but I think they'll have to do that against some of the better teams they see in the playoff, assuming, obviously they get to the playoffs, they win the championship and everything like that. So, it's one of those things where you just try to do your best to slow a player like that down. He's just too dominant to stop completely.
Yeah, I agree too. Another one of those things. Can't stop him completely. Got to figure out how to work around him. Going to have to do double teams. That was one thing that Penn State didn't do. Third down in their own end zone, didn't double team him. I mean, you got to do that in that situation. And guess what happened? He got his 16.5 sack and broke the record. I mean, we don't need any FBS unbreakable records happening in the playoffs against Clemson. That's for sure. So, but I think Raekwon Davis and other big-time defensive linemen that have come up from Alabama against Clemson have been stopped. Quinnen Williams, Quinnen Williams was supposed to be this guy who was going to basically destroy Trevor Lawrence. Not one sack all game. So, I mean, for me, I rely on what Clemson has shown, and we'll see what happens. Honestly, if you're looking at it, I believe that Clemson, Ohio State, the winner of that game, if it's number 2 versus number 3, which I believe it will be, I think the winner of that game is your national champion, whoever it is. I really do. I think both teams can stop LSU. They seem to be getting worse on defense, and whoever the 4th team in the nation is, I don't know, but we'll see. We're going to talk about that a little bit earlier. Let us know what you think over on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, wherever you're watching us. We'd like to know what your comments and thoughts are on that situation. Let's jump over to the second question. This is something I saw. This is a tweet from David Pollock. Good Lord, LAWD. Georgia football is insanely good. How dang good is the SEC championship going to be? Question mark, question mark, question mark. New school versus old school. Which one wins? Now, he came back later and said he meant Georgia defense. He backed up. Now, and I know you're going to tell me David Pollack is a Georgia guy, so obviously he's going to say this. But still, he's in a position where he can't be that way. He shouldn't be that way. But anyways, my question is, why does Georgia get credit for beating Texas A&M? Why does their defense get credit for holding Texas A&M back? And it seems like nobody talks about how Clemson did against them. I'll tell you this. He said that a lot of people said, well, look, Georgia stopped Texas A&M rushing game. They only had -1 yard rushing. Well, first of all, Clemson Clemson destroyed their first-string running back to where he's no longer playing this season. You know, I hope he gets better. I don't wish any injuries on anybody. But Clemson dominated Texas A&M in the rushing game. Mm-hmm. Second of all, Texas A&M did not beat Clemson in any statistical category except for, I believe, time of possession. Any relevant statistical category. I know there's probably some stat out there that they beat. Maybe, I think it was 4th down conversions. I get it. Wow, congratulations. But in any stat like total offense, first downs, things like that, no, Clemson beat them handedly. Now, Texas A&M against this good Lord stacked Georgia defense had more yards than Georgia and also had more first downs. So why is it that Georgia gets credit for beating Texas A&M, but it's like, well, Clemson hasn't really played anybody?
Well, I think the main reason, of course, is Georgia's in the SEC, and and somehow, some way they look more dominant. Beating A&M by like 7, and then Clemson did by 14. Including a garbage touchdown at the end when it really should have been 21. I believe that beat the spread on you as well, so I know you weren't real happy with that outcome. But I mean, it's just nonsense. The whole country outside of the SEC is tired of the bias and the narrative. The only real reason they could have been giving the Dogs credit, for this win and not giving Clemson credit for the win in the beginning of the year is because we played them early in the year. A lot of people want to say they're not in their full groove at the beginning of the year, and that's fine, whatever. It's nonsense. Clemson wasn't in their groove at the beginning of the year either. Had they been, A&M probably would have got beat by 50, okay, because that's what they're doing to everybody else. I'm not buying that necessarily, is their excuse as far as, played them earlier in the year. So I'm just saying that's just really your only option. That's really the only thing you can kind of point to if you want to praise Georgia's win but not give Clemson credit for it in the beginning. I mean, at the end of the day, is there really any other reason than it's the SEC? And it just means more.
It just means more. It really does. This team still, as everybody likes to remind us over on chat, this team still lost to South Carolina at home. They had 2 chances to win, I believe, and still, squandered them both away. But that leads me to the third question. Are we destined for a 2 SEC playoff? Is this going to happen? I don't want to see it happen. I really don't. I would like to see an Oklahoma, really. I mean, I know you're going to say, oh, Oklahoma. I'd like to see anybody other than 2 SEC teams. I definitely don't want to see an SEC team with a backup quarterback. I know he scored 66 points, or they scored 66 points Saturday. He had 3 touchdowns. I get it. But it's a backup quarterback. I don't want to see that.
Yep.
And it's Alabama, which, they need to sit on the sideline this time. But LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, obviously what I'm talking about is LSU, Georgia have to play each other.
Right.
Now, Ohio State travels to Michigan this weekend, and they're going to play the winner of Minnesota, Wisconsin. Clemson's got to play South Carolina, and then probably Virginia Tech or Virginia, depending on who wins that. Georgia has to play Georgia Tech. Whoa, big deal. And then going to have to play LSU. LSU has to play Texas A&M, and then probably, then they're going to play Georgia. But Oklahoma's got some big games coming up. They got Oklahoma State, and they probably got Baylor. Mm-hmm. Utah eventually is going to have to play Oregon, which, is not a big deal anymore because Oregon lost. Al, sorry about that. I know you picked them earlier on in the year. Sorry, so apologies there. Alabama's got to play Auburn, which people are saying they're going to blow them out still. It's really, their wide receiver core is so good. A monkey could throw the ball to them. Yeah. So, but my question is, LSU loses. I feel like people are going to say, the committee's going to say, we got to keep them 4. We got to drop them a little bit. Maybe move Ohio State 1, Clemson 2, LSU or Georgia 3, and LSU 4. Maybe something like that. I think that would be probably what they would do if Georgia wins. Now, if Georgia loses, now that would make them, a 2-loss team? Mm-hmm. And so what do you do there? Well, who's right next in line to them? I believe it's Alabama.
Yeah.
Do you just move Alabama on up? And then if you do that, if Alabama's 4, does that mean that Utah and Oklahoma have no shot anymore to jump them. Is there enough left in the tank for Utah and Oklahoma to show anybody or prove anything to beat Alabama? What do you think? Let us know in the comments in the chat, Facebook. What do you think? Is there enough left for these teams to jump an Alabama in order to have not have two SEC teams?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the real interesting part of this whole argument is, can Georgia beat LSU? Because if Georgia beats LSU, I think that is the best chance the SEC has of getting two teams in, because at that point, I really don't see how they're going to leave LSU out. All right. And not that they should or shouldn't. Okay. I'm just saying, I just don't think they will. I think where it gets really interesting is if LSU beats Georgia. Okay. That throws Georgia out. Georgia has a terrible loss to a bad South Carolina team. They would lose in the championship. Okay. They're two loss. They're out. So now you got to start worrying about Alabama. And then it comes down to Alabama. It comes down to Utah. And of course, that is assuming Utah wins out. And then it comes down to Oklahoma. And that's, of course, assuming Oklahoma wins out. So there's a lot of what ifs that still kind of go into this whole argument. Okay. But in my opinion, if that happens, LSU beats Georgia, Utah wins out, Oklahoma wins out, then you're choosing between Alabama, Oklahoma, Utah. I honestly believe that Utah would jump Alabama. Assuming Utah wins out, I think Utah is going to be that fourth team. I've said all season long, and I've been saying these past few weeks, I think it's the winner of the Pac-12. Now, I predicted that was going to be Oregon. Obviously, that got blown up, as you mentioned, this past weekend. Okay, but I think Utah is going to be that team. Now, if they were to lose, okay, and let's say you have it Alabama versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma has won their championship. Man, then it becomes really interesting. Do they give Oklahoma that same good graces and let them jump Alabama? They want to talk about how the championship is important. Okay, they always want to talk about how that is. Now, we've seen that not necessarily be the case with Bama. It's happened that way before. But I really think that they're going to jump Oklahoma as well. I really think Oklahoma would jump and get that spot. So I believe that Bama's only hope is that Utah or Oklahoma have a loss between now and the end of the season, because I truly believe if they both went out, that either one of them would get in over Alabama. Now, if Georgia wins, I think LSU will get more benefit of the doubt than Alabama, because they at least made the championship game. And now I think LSU is going to beat Georgia. Okay, I think they have too much offense for Georgia. Georgia has just not impressed anybody on offense all year. It's been talked about all year. We've talked about it to death. Their defense is great, but their offense is really bad. Now, I'm also not dumb enough to say they can't win the championship game, because I've seen crazier things happen. But I believe it all comes down to that. If LSU beats Georgia, they knock Georgia out, then it becomes Alabama hoping that Utah or Oklahoma lose, because I think either one of those teams would get the nod over Alabama.
Great point there, Al. Let us know what you think over in the comments on Facebook and YouTube. If you want to get in on the conversation live, let us know. Give us a call, 864-772-MORG, 6674. Open phone lines right now. We had one person in, but we want to get through this segment, and he dropped out. So, hey, if you're back, if you're still watching the show, jump back in and get on the phone lines. We'll bring you up after this break. But again, you can call in the Buffalo Wild Wings of Greenville hotline, 864-772-6674. And we'll be back. We're going to go on a quick break. Stay with us. When we get back, we're going to talk about our rivalry. Let me say it right. We're going to talk about our rivalry week picks against the spread. And remember to check us out. Facebook, YouTube, 105.5, 97.5 FM, The Roar, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Morgan Thomas Show with my co-host and good friend, Big Al, Alan Adams. Open phone lines again, Buffalo Wild Wings of Greenville, South Carolina, 864-772-MORG. That's 6674. Jump on the line. We'll make sure to get you as we are live. We actually have someone in on the calls right now. Caller, can you hear us? Hey, let us know your name and what you want to talk about tonight.
Even though
Yeah, I think, Alan, I don't know if you heard that, but, Travis Etienne did not make the Doak Walker Award candidate list or the finalist list. You got J.K. Dobbins, you got Chuba Hubbard, and Jonathan Taylor. So they picked three guys. I mean, I can't really say anything against those three guys for real. I mean, Jonathan Taylor is breaking so many records up there in Wisconsin. Chuba Hubbard is really their main weapon at Oklahoma State. And then we've already talked a lot about J.K. Dobbins and how much he can do for the Ohio State Buckeyes. But, I mean, if you look at it, like Myron said, you kind of look at Travis Etienne. I mean, he's got more yards per carry than just about anybody in the nation, because these other guys, the difference between Travis and Clemson than these other guys is that he actually doesn't run the ball 40, 50 times a game. Well, not 50 times. I know these guys don't do 50 times, but 30, 40 times a game. Did you know, I put this on Twitter yesterday, that Travis Etienne hasn't had more than 17 rushes a game this year. And he's only had that one time. I believe that was against UNC. And last year, he only had 2 games over 17 carries, which is great for his NFL stock because, man, those tire treads, they're not worn at all. He doesn't need an alignment. He doesn't need rotation. Those suckers are going to be good. Whoever drafts him is going to get a diamond. I'm telling you that. He's going to be ready to go. If I'm a running back, I don't want my legs to be worn out in college, because running backs, as we've said this many times, they don't have many years. They barely make it to 30 years old before they're out of there. Now, I know the NFL, Dabo Swinney likes to say not for long, but in the case of a Clemson player, if you're someone like DeMarcus Bowman, you got to like your odds that you're not going to get, as worn down as much. But then it kind of goes into the problem. Doak Walker finalist, going to be difficult to get when you're not playing the entire game. Yeah. Heisman Trophy candidate. We've talked about that many times on the show. Going to be difficult to get. What are your thoughts, Al?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with everything that you said there. I mean, it's just like we talked about at the beginning of the season, not getting the Heisman Trophy. It's when you play all these players and, I think now in fairness to Travis Etienne, obviously he's an amazing running back and he's obviously our favorite running back, with the orange colored glasses on here. But in the beginning of the season, a little bit was self-inflicted. It looked like he kind of lost focus for a game or two, and he wasn't the Travis Etienne we're used to seeing. He wasn't running the ball as hard. He seemed a little more hesitant. He was a little bit upset, I think, because Tony Elliott and Jeff Scott calling the plays weren't actually getting the ball to him as much as he would like. So it looks like he was a little frustrated, and I think that really derailed the Heisman hopes because those first couple games, he was killing it. Obviously, I know you had kind of predicted that at the beginning of the year, and he was looking real good those first couple games and then kind of fell off. And then he got his groove back. Obviously, he's the Etienne we all know and love again, so that's good to see. But, yeah, it's just kind of one of those things playing for Dabo. It's never about the individual awards. It's about the team awards. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing here in the fact that he didn't make the Doak Walker finalist list.
Yeah, I agree too. Hey, thanks so much for that call. Remember to check us out. Facebook, we got The Morgan Thomas Show. YouTube, obviously The Morgan Thomas Show. And then Twitter, @Clemson Morgan. Alan has a Twitter account, but it's a ghost account, so don't even worry about that. But go check us out. We like to keep updated throughout the week. We do videos mainly on Monday night, and I clip them up Tuesday night, so you'll be able to see. If you miss anything live, you'll be able to see it throughout the week. But if you want to get any kind of like random posts or talk with me directly, usually it's over on Twitter or Facebook. You can check me out there. But again, thanks so much. Hey, that guy over in Georgia right now, 706 area code. We appreciate, man, so many people jumping in and being a part of the show. And, saying that they enjoy the show. We appreciate it. Hey, we started from nothing, kind of worked our way up to where we are now. So we really appreciate the support. And call back in. Hey, we open phone lines again. We have 2 open lines basically all night now that we've had a caller. So for the rest of the show, we're going to have open phone lines. Jump in, 864-772-6674. Over on YouTube, we have 21 people watching. Thank you again over on YouTube. Appreciate the support. Al, how much we got over on Facebook?
Looks like we got about 15 over here on Facebook. Let's see, we got a bunch of newer guys coming in. I see Al jumped in, Corey jumped in, Perry jumped in. First of all, we want to tell you guys, thanks for the support, and of course, as always, share the show, like the show, follow the show, subscribe to the show, whatever you do on all these different social media platforms. But the most important thing for you to do for us is to share the show, in my opinion. Sharing the show puts more eyeballs on the show. More people are going to like it. More people are going to watch it. More people are going to participate, and that's the way we want it. So get on that, share it down the link at the bottom, and then help us out a little bit. We appreciate the support.
Yeah, we started out by myself on Facebook, worked our way up to Facebook and YouTube. Alan joined me. Well, before that, Alan joined me. Then we worked to Facebook and YouTube. And then we grinded up, and now we're part of the Roar. We're an affiliate of the Roar, so you can check out our replays on Thursday nights. If there's a basketball game, sometimes Wednesday night. I know it's the holiday season, so you probably won't get anything this Thursday night. I'm not sure. I'll have to double-check the calendar and see if anybody's even working over on the Roar. Hopefully not on Thursday night, but we appreciate them supporting the show. By the way, we don't just pride ourselves in a great production, but we pride ourselves in dressing for success. If you notice what Alan and I are wearing, this is the exclusive clothing line of Tiger Sports Shop. That's tigersports.com, the Tiger Sports Shop out of Clemson, South Carolina. They're family owned as well. Coach Ibrahim started that. He was a soccer coach, a national championship winning soccer coach. By the way, Clemson soccer team doing really good. They beat Charlotte. They're going on to the next round of that NCAA tournament. They're number 2 seed, I believe. And so, we lots of luck. Good luck for the Tigers out there. Now they have one of their big-time players, big-time scorers, Robinson's back to just tear it up. He wasn't there for the ACC championship game, as I found out, and that was one of the reasons why I believe they couldn't hang with Virginia. Hopefully they fight. They meet Virginia again in the finals, and we get to see that. That'll be exciting. They started with 10 ACC teams, and now they're down to 5, I believe. But still, ACC is a huge soccer, growing grounds, breeding grounds for those big elite players. So best of luck to the Tigers out there. Got some Tigers over in Las Vegas. We're going to talk about them a little bit later on the show too. But again, I'm wearing their Tiger Sports Shop apparel, branded apparel. It's a lavender color polo. I really enjoy it. Short sleeve, breathable. And Alan, tell them what you got.
Well, first of all, I want to talk about that soccer match really quick that you talked about. Yeah, I actually caught the last few minutes of that. I saw that Clemson was up 1-0 and realized I was supposed to be, I was wanting to turn it on my phone while I was watching football. And I clicked on, and immediately Charlotte scores and ties it up. I'm like, well, maybe I should turn this back off because we were winning 1-0 when I wasn't watching. But I kept it up on the phone. And in the extra time, Robinson actually got the goal off a deflected pass. It was a great game. Right, it kind of hit off the crossbar or the sidebar, whatever you want to call it, and rolled in. So it was an awesome win for the Tigers. It was a cool environment, cool to see. So we appreciate everybody that watches, and we want you to support our Clemson Tigers in any sport, and that includes soccer. But right now, I'm rocking the Tiger Sports Shop brand polo as well. So we're both doing that tonight. This is one of my favorite new shirts. It's kind of an orange base with a thin white stripes. They actually have the opposite of this shirt as well, where the white is the base and the orange is the stripes. I know they have those there at Tiger Sports Shop. They are great shirts, both great looking shirts. And these aren't all, of course. They've got 100 awesome looking shirts. I could spend my whole weekly paycheck there every time. So it's a great place. So go check them out. Tiger Sports Shop, downtown Clemson, US 123 bypass. Either location, they're going to take care of you, and they're going to make you look good while they do it.
Now we got another caller. This is Terry. He wants to talk about the Gamecock game this Saturday. Terry, welcome to the show. Let us know what you want to talk about. Pretty good.
Good.
I appreciate it, Perry. Yeah, I was shocked too, and we haven't talked about that yet, Perry. Thank you for joining us and bringing that up, because that's definitely something that I wasn't expecting. Maybe there's a little bit of rivalry, because maybe there's 10 points there from the rivalry, so they give them plus 10 there. Maybe there's a little bit of some home game.
Yeah.
Maybe you get a couple of points for being a home game. Not really sure about that either, but So Alan, what do you think? Do you think 26 points is enough? Is it too much, too little? To be honest with you, with Clemson scoring in the 50s recently on average, I was surprised too.
Yeah, and now that I know that it's Perry on the line and not Terry, I I recognize that voice. It's a faint voice because he's way over there on the other line, but I do barely hear him. I think actually the point spread is about right. I mean, if you look on paper, it's low, just like Perry mentioned. On paper, it's low. Clemson should hammer this team, no doubt about it. But I mean, honestly, there was a Deshaun Watson team that went in there that should have hammered them as well. And they kind of took us to the wire there a little bit. They were down by about 2 touchdowns, scored a garbage time touchdown at the end of the game. I think we ended up winning by 7. And last year they scored way more points on us than they ever should, and that was at home. So I think the fact that they take the rivalry into account, not only it being a home game for South Carolina, that gives them a lot of points. They're desperate for a win. They're desperate to ruin our season. They hate our success. They hate us to their very core. So I'm good with the spread kind of where it is now. It's always scary to have be that big of a favorite as well. It always makes you just kind of worry. I'll find a way to worry. I promise you. Even though it's a 26-point spread, I'll find a way to worry, and I'll try to convince you that they can beat us in this game. On paper, they can't. Both teams play their A game. We're beating them by about 35 or 40 points, something like that. So hopefully that's exactly what happens here this weekend, and we can just kind of put it behind us.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much, Perry, for calling in, and make sure you call in some more, man.
You got it, brother. Y'all have a good one. See you guys.
Thanks. So we had some people over on YouTube saying they couldn't hear Perry on that call. Hopefully we kind of explained what he was saying in our response. I don't know if it was because of Alan, you're coming out on this speaker to my right. Perry came out on my speaker to my left. So I apologize if you didn't catch any of those calls. We try to kind of repeat ourselves so you can hear it. I think that, so they said they hear him now. So that must have been it. It must have been the wrong speaker. So, I've got actually 3 speakers. You'd be surprised. I got 2 monitors, 3 speakers, 2 cameras, a light. I mean, I got so much going on. It's crazy. My head's spinning right now. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm surprised I haven't passed out by now. But thank you so much for calling. Hey, we got 2 callers tonight, Al. That is a record. I wish I had some sort of alarm, or some sort of like cheers record. Let's give a golf clap to the 2 callers tonight. Thank you so much, 2 callers. Even though we had some technical difficulties with that, hopefully I'm recording too, so hopefully that came through. I think it should come through. So if you wanted to hear the callers, I think now it should be fixed. But if you want to hear the callers going forward, just check out the replay, and I'm sure we'll have it up. But again, man, great calls, great topics that we definitely want to get to, and we are going to get to. But what Perry kind of was talking about, something we're going to talk about in the third segment of the night. But let's jump over to our second segment of the night, Al, and that is our rivalry week. I'm going to get this right. 3 years later, I'm going to get this right.
Wow, you killed it.
Rivalry week. I kind of blame my tongue. Like it needed to be snipped. I got like some sort of lisp going on.
You shouldn't have repeated it. You nailed it the first time.
Rivalry week.
There you
Picks against the spread. There's a lot of games, so we don't have a lot of time, so we're going to run through it here, and then we're going to jump over to our segment number 3 after a short break. But rivalry week. Alan, I should just stop saying it.
I told you to stop.
All right. Number 23. We start with ACC teams. Then we start with ACC teams, and then we go to the ranked versus ranked. So starting with ACC, this is a big one now. Number 23. Finally, another ranked ACC team. That's not Wake Forest. Number 23, Virginia Tech travels to Virginia. Hendon Hooker, playing great, stays in the pocket well, not afraid to take a hit and still make a play. Bud Foster, final season. His defense is playing on a different level since losing by 1 point to Notre Dame. What you got? Virginia Tech, -2 right now out of the gate.
Yeah, we were talking about this last week, but we talked about how the Hokies are playing so much better since they went to Hendon Hooker and stuck with him at quarterback. Their only loss being a 1-point loss to Notre Dame. And found out before the show actually that he was actually hurt that game, so they held him. And they went to their backup QB, still only lost by 1. So it would have been a real interesting game had they had Hendon Hooker available for that game. So look, the Hokies have flat out dominated this series. They have won 15 in a row. All right, and they are playing much better football. Virginia's they're doing okay, but they're kind of limping more to the finish than the Hokies are. So I'm taking Virginia Tech minus the points to cover and meet Clemson in the ACC championship game.
Ooh, Virginia Tech minus the points to cover and make it to the ACC championship game. Well, Alan, you're 61% against the spread. I think you might be even higher now, 62. You had a monster week. By the way, don't do what I did last week. I picked every underdog possible, and I lost every single one of them. I didn't pick every one. I picked about 9 underdogs. I lost every single one but one. Alan, do you know what game I won as an underdog?
I have no idea. Give the fans a little taste.
Freaking Miami and Florida International. Miami, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I mean,
embarrassing.
I picked the team to beat you because Butch Davis, because Miami Stadium, because it was a game you're supposed to win. Alan, you told me I was crazy. I thought I was crazy, but hey, I needed to make up points against you, and I lost more points than I did. So, hey, don't go crazy picking underdogs because you could be like me. Now, I'm still at 58% against the spread, so I didn't get hurt too bad. But, don't do that. If you want to catch up, don't just go all crazy like I did. All right, so that's my rant there. All right, so next one, number 4, Georgia at Georgia Tech. Now Georgia Tech was just blanked, but Georgia Tech was blanked by Virginia Tech, but then turned around and beat NC State in a game that I said they wouldn't beat them, but they did. So, but Georgia coming out a 28-point favorite. So can Georgia beat Georgia Tech by 4 touchdowns? I know Georgia Tech is bad. But Georgia Tech doesn't score. But Georgia doesn't score a lot of points.
Yeah. First of all, I want to clarify in that epilogue you just gave us. Okay, did you pick Virginia Tech to cover the spread, or did you pick Virginia?
I'm just going to say every team you pick, I'm picking. I can't afford to lose anymore. I can't afford it. So
Virginia Tech. So basically, you just need my opinion on all these picks.
That is exactly how we're going to go with this.
All right, cool. Well, in that case, look, I'm interested to see, who takes Tech in this game because Georgia has no offense. Okay, Georgia has no offense. Like you mentioned, they cannot score. I hope Stephanie's listening to this. Okay, we all know and love Stephanie. I hope she's listening to this because I'm taking Georgia to score some points and beat Georgia Tech by the spread. Obviously, a rivalry game. Georgia Tech has been able to keep some close in years past. And I'm taking Georgia to cover the spread and hammer the Jackets because I just don't believe in Georgia Tech whatsoever, even though they're playing a little bit better football lately.
Look, I know Georgia Tech can't score, like we thought they were going to be able to score. They're not a, explosive offense like we thought. It's old school. It's kind of boring. They don't put up a lot of points. But let me tell you something. You can trust in Blankenship. And he, by himself, is going to beat Georgia Tech. I can just tell you that right now. I know it's a rivalry game. I get it. It's a new team, new coach. But Rodrigo Blankenship's going to be bouncing field goals off of those high-rise buildings out there, just scoring left and right. Now, Georgia may not score a touchdown because they just seem to, just break down when they get to the 20-yard line. But Blankenship does not break down. Man, he is automatic. I look for Georgia to beat Georgia Tech by more than 28 on field goals alone, Al. Record 97 field goals. That's what I'm going with. Because that's really all they got. No offense, Georgia fans out there. But, who do you have? Who do you have? You say Swift. I don't believe it. Yeah, but anyways, Louisville at Kentucky. This is a pretty good one. These teams, I believe, are very similar. I have a feeling Scott Satterfield, man, after only winning 2 games last year, now Mike could have 8 wins this season. Mm-hmm. Kentucky as a favorite, -3. What you got?
Look, I went back and forth between this one a lot. This is one that could actually change by the time the weekend comes. Louisville's been a really hot pick for me lately. No doubt about it. They've done well for me in picks against the spread. Their offense has kind of come to life a little bit. But Kentucky, for the most part, seems to play decent at home and has the better defense for sure. And don't forget, SEC, my friend, I'm taking the Wildcats to cover.
SEC. Oh, come on. Why you got to say that? Look, Scott Satterfield, ACC Coach of the Year, already said it. He's going to do it. They're at home, I believe, right? It's in, let me just double check.
Kentucky.
It's at Kentucky. Oh, man. See, I was going to give them that. I was going to give them at Papa John Stadium. Can I say Papa John Stadium? I don't know if you can even say that anymore.
I'm not sure if you're allowed to say that anymore.
Oops. But I got to go on a limb here. All right, I'm not going to pick everything like you, because then obviously I can't at least have a chance. I got to have a chance, right, to beat you. So I'm going to take Louisville. Scott Satterfield, man, they got a better offense, I believe, than Kentucky. Now, they're very similar in defense. I don't know. So it's a toss-up. It's a 50-50 for me, but I'm going to go with the ACC team if you're going to go with SEC. I didn't realize that you were turning to Paul Feinbaum over here during this show.
But awful. I hate it. I hate myself for it.
Next, Wake Forest at Syracuse. Wake minus 4.5. Now, Wake Forest lost Sage Surratt, lost their starting linebacker. Syracuse just horrible on defense. This one's another one. Yet another ACC game where throw one in the hat and pick one.
Yeah, I tend to agree. This is actually, I have wrote down for this one, and in my notes, I have written down for this one. Excuse me. I really don't like either team. This could be one of the games that changed by game time. It's actually what I said for the last one as well. But I am begrudgingly taking the Demon Deacons in this one to cover. Syracuse has just been awful. Their only decent spot over the past few games is when they obliterated Duke, and Duke has just been terrible. So I'm going to take Wake Forest and assume they muster up enough offense to cover.
Yeah, I'm going to take Wake Forest on this. I mean, Syracuse, I don't even know what they are right now. I mean, I feel like that if you have a better rushing defense and you have a better quarterback, you should be able to win the game, even though it's an away game. But I'm going to give Wake Forest the benefit of the doubt. ACC needs good teams to win against bad teams. They need to stop this cycle of good teams fighting it out, duking it out with bad teams and making the whole conference look bad. So just win, Wake. Just beat them and move on. So let's have a bunch of 9-win teams. Let's have a couple of 9-win teams. Let's have maybe one. Well, we're going to have let's hope we have 2 10-win teams. Let's go for that too. Let's do that. But Boston College at Pittsburgh. Pitt minus 9.5. This is one I kind of struggle with because BC is coming into Pitt fighting for bowl eligibility. Pitt just lost their hopes to get into the ACC championship. I'm going to go ahead and tell you BC has more to play for, so I'm picking Boston College plus the points.
Morgan, I could not be more disappointed in you after this, okay? The only thing Boston College can do is run, okay? And Pitt has the 6th best rushing defense in the country. You have talked about that every show since I started on the show, that you love rushing defense, and now you're going to pick against them with Boston College. I can't believe it. I even have in my notes that I stole your thunder because I assumed you would talk about the rushing defense, and you didn't. All right, I've never been more disappointed in my whole life. I'm taking the Panthers to cover. Give me Pitt minus the 9.5.
But you forgot the second part of my speech, and that was I'm picking BC if I'm crazy and don't look at the rushing defense. So now I'm picking Pittsburgh. Actually, you don't know or not, I have Pittsburgh down on the piece of paper. Or do I? I don't know. It is Monday, so I don't know. But Miami at Duke. This is another one. I tried to look at stats. I tried to look at previous games, history, Wikipedia, Google, Bing, Yahoo. You can't find answers for this game.
Yeah.
Miami goes to Duke. Miami minus 7. Can Miami beat Duke by more than a touchdown? Can Duke score any points? Can Miami beat anybody but Miami beats good teams and then loses to Florida International. I don't know, but Duke has lost 5 in a row. Miami, as we know, we lost to Florida International. If Duke wasn't so bad, I might just pick them, but I don't know. There's no home field advantage at Duke. I mean, their field is like the size of Westside High School. So.
Yeah, I mean, look, good luck trying to find information on this game. Like you said, Google and past games, not gonna really help you this year. I mean, they've been so up and down this season. But last year Duke beat Miami, all right, to get their 3rd win in the series history. Okay, only their 3rd win. Okay, after they got pummeled by the Panthers last week, Miami. Oh my gosh, how embarrassing for the ACC, how embarrassing for the Hurricanes and that proud tradition in general. Okay, goodness gracious. The Hurricanes are going to be angry, out for revenge. Give me Miami minus the points. I'm counting on the Hurricanes. I'm counting on my friend Russell to pull them through because he's a big Kane fan. So hopefully they can work some magic and take over the Dukies.
Give me Miami as well. I just don't trust Duke right now, even at home. Next up, Tar Heels, North Carolina versus the Wolfpack, North Carolina State. Tar Heels are looking to become bowl eligible again this year, or well, not again this year, but they're looking to go bowl eligible just like BC is. Minus 8 points for this game, going to NC State. So I believe, based on how Sam Howell has played, based on what Mac Brown has done to this team, they deserve to go to a bowl game. But can they get the win? Can they get their 6th win to do it?
Yeah, and I think so. We talked about, and you mentioned just a second ago, Sam Howell. I think he's the reason, to be honest with you. I think he's done a really good job, and I think he's going to kind of be that person. I think that's the kind of guy that's going to lead them to the win. They're playing pretty good football right now. NC State has kind of fallen on hard times, so I'm taking UNC to cover minus the 8.
Give me UNC as well. North Carolina State. Don't really know. Like I said, when they played Clemson, they had about 16 players get hurt. Thoughts and prayers go to that team because they don't have anybody left. Florida State at number 11, Florida. This is not going to be good for the Seminoles. This will be a game where we know mainly be a primetime game, but it's probably going to be nothing short of a beatdown, I believe. But can Florida in Gainesville beat them by more than 17? The spread is right now minus 17. Florida being the favorite. I don't see how Florida State can hang with them past halftime, really, to be honest with you. Yeah. So I'm going to go with Florida to cover.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I really think if this game was at Florida State, I might give them a little bit of credit and just a little bit of kind of save face. Like show them we're not really buried in the sand completely like everybody wants to believe. And Florida State comes out with some heart. But I don't think so in this game. I don't think in the Swamp they can handle it. I'm taking Florida minus the 17.
All right, let's get into our ranked versus ranked matchup. This one starts us off, believe, number 18, Cincinnati at number 17, Memphis. Memphis minus 10. I looked at the public consensus on this game, 50-50. It's a toss-up between who picks what. Both teams are coming into this game 10-1. Memphis is averaging 42 points per game, a little bit better on defense statistically on paper. So give me Memphis at home to outscore the Bearcats and win by more than 10.
Yeah, I think the Memphis offense at home is too much for a kind of up and down Cincinnati team. I'm taking Memphis minus the 10 as well.
Next up, number 7, Oklahoma at number 21, Oklahoma State. This one's pretty tough for me because Oklahoma has been letting teams get close. They've won these games, but they've only won by a few points. They haven't been blowing people out like they did at the beginning of the year. Their defense is starting to let people score 20, 30, 40 points a game. I know it's been close, but I think that OU and Jalen Hurts can have success passing the ball. Oklahoma State has a hard time passing the ball. My father-in-law told me, don't pick Oklahoma. Pick the points in Oklahoma State because Oklahoma State can score. I just don't see it. I think I'm going to go with Oklahoma in this sense. It's getting close. It's that championship phase. They know they have to do what they can to try to jump into that 4th spot in the playoffs. So they got to win this game. This is a ranked game. Then they roll and probably play. I believe they're going to play Baylor. So these are 2 big games, 2 key games that they need to win. And I think they need to win pretty convincingly to try to jump some people.
Yeah, and what I actually do with these games when I pick these games is I kind of go with my heart and my head immediately and just kind of make a pick. And then I go do a little research. And I actually had Oklahoma State picked. Plus the 12 at the beginning of this. Oklahoma's kind of survived a couple of close games. I think they should have lost, including this past weekend against TCU. But the Cowboys lost their starting quarterback and beat a bad West Virginia team only by a touchdown. Okay, I want to believe in the underdog. I really do, but I think the push for the playoff takes the Sooners over the edge. I'm taking Oklahoma minus the 12.
No way after what happened to me last week that I pick any underdogs. I'm just kidding. I pick a few, but not 9 like I did last time. No way. All right, number 13, Wisconsin at number 9, Minnesota. Wisconsin going to Minnesota as the favorite by 2 points, minus 2. This is the fight for the Big Ten division, for their side of the division, and whoever wins this game will go to the championship game. It's a toss-up for me too, man. This is one where Penn State came to Minnesota, and Minnesota showed up and beat them. But Wisconsin has this ability with their running game and with their defense to just hold on to the ball a lot. And so I got this feeling that Wisconsin is actually going to make it. And they're going to beat Minnesota. And they're going to go into the Big Ten championship game. So give me Wisconsin minus 2.
Wisconsin minus 2. All right, look, I think the Golden Gophers can rebound from their loss 2 weeks ago to Iowa and give the Badgers a little bit of trouble on offense here. Like you said, when Penn State came to town, they were able to take care of them. I'm actually taking Minnesota to cover and win outright here. I think Wisconsin a little too slow on defense. I think the Gophers will be able to give them some trouble on offense and score some points and score just enough to win the game. So I'm taking the Gophers.
it's hard for me to not pick the Gophers because their quarterback, Morgan, hey, got to go for him. I just don't think – I feel like possession is going to be a big deal. Penn State had a chance to win that game against Minnesota, so it wasn't like a blowout even though they kind of started off fast.
Yeah.
They kind of slowly let them come back. I think I just feel like a running team on the road in a big-time game like that, better defense and a better running game, I'm going to go Wisconsin in this case. The last two big games of the night or of our picks, number 5, Alabama at number 16, Auburn. Alabama -4 traveling to Auburn. Any doubt that we had about Mac Jones being a big-time player? He came out 275 yards passing, 3 touchdowns passing. He's got playmakers around him. He just got to throw them to him. Hey, like my father-in-law says, a monkey could throw the ball to these guys and they could go score. So don't really have to be the elite of the elite quarterback. And we know Alabama's of old have won national championships and had, McElroy. Come on, So they know how to win games and they can win national championships with quarterbacks that you never see again. Yeah. So I'm going to take, and I feel like Auburn's a really average team. So I'm going to take Alabama in this case -4.
Yeah, I think Saban understands that the only way they have, or only chance they have to make the playoff is to make a statement against Auburn this weekend. I think they get it done, especially with the help, probably of the officiating crew just a little bit, a few calls here or there, just to kind of give the SEC that chance to get that second team in the playoffs. I'm taking the Tide to cover.
Everybody's jumping on me. Oh my gosh, why are you picking Alabama? Get out of here, Alabama. I get it. I don't like it. I don't like Alabama, but Allen doesn't like Alabama. It's just one of those things. It is what it is. That's what we think. Number 2, Ohio State. Last one of the night. Number 2, Ohio State, and number 10, Michigan. Ohio State -9. Now, Al, if you've watched the show at all, you know that there is no way I'm picking Michigan. So, I know it's at home. I know they got a lot going for them. They do pretty well at home. But Ohio State has got such a good defense. They've got an offense that can attack you multiple different ways. And, this is going to be another top 10 win for them that's really, in my mind, not a top 10 win. Even though I do believe Michigan is the best 2-loss team in the nation. But I just don't see any way Michigan can stop that Justin Fields running on third down. We know what he's going to do. They can't stop it. And I'm going to go with Ohio State to cover -9.
Look, Michigan has turned the corner. We like to make fun of them at the beginning of this year a lot, and I had a lot of pleasure in doing that. But they've played a lot better the second half of the season for sure. I like Harbaugh as much as I don't like to say this, but I like Harbaugh to come dangerously close in this one. All right, to getting over the hump and finally beating Ohio State at home. I don't think they're actually going to make it, but I do think they are going to cover at home, make this playoff thing really interesting. If they were to win, it really makes things interesting for sure. But I'm going to take the Wolverines to cover plus the 9.
Now, I know what you're thinking. What about the Clemson versus South Carolina game? That's a big game that we want to talk about. Well, that's going to come up in segment number 3. But let us know what you think. I see a lot of people getting their picks in over on YouTube. Alan, I know you got a lot of people probably over on Facebook. Let us know what you think in the comments, Facebook, YouTube. We actually are live on Twitter tonight as well. We have a call-in number, 864-772-6674. Get in now because this is the last segment coming up. This will be the time to call in and get your voice heard before we finish out the show. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Clemson basketball and talk a little bit about Clemson versus Carolina, or a lot about Clemson versus Carolina. So hang tight. We'll be right back after this. What's up? That was a quick break. We appreciate you hanging with us. It's the Morgan Thomas Show with Big Al. In this segment, we're going to be talking about Clemson versus Carolina, that game that you are ready to watch, that I'm ready to watch. I can't wait for it. Get rid of Thanksgiving and get started with that rivalry battle in Columbia. The Tigers versus the Gamecocks. But there's a lot of games going on. We talked about segment number 2. If you missed that, go check it out on our YouTube page. But Al, tell us about our third segment sponsor before we get started.
Ladies and gentlemen, our segment 3 sponsor is Heating Cooling Services, Inc. They are family-owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventive maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller or anything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer, give Heating Cooling Services a call today, 864-224-7655. Again, that phone number is 864-224-7655. Ask for Jason or Mark. Ladies and gentlemen, I have known these guys a long time. Okay, they will take care of you. They're good people, and it's always good to do business with good people. Ladies and gentlemen, give them a call, 864-224-7655. Make sure that they know you heard about them on the Morgan Thomas Show with Big Al. All right, Morgan, check it out, man. Dude, we got a lot of people getting in on the comments over here. A lot of people giving us their spread picks. I love Al and David and Ty. They all get in and give us their spread picks. A lot of them are agreeing with us for most of the part. I mean, I think we agreed on a lot of these games this week. You only went opposite on a few, even though you said in the beginning, of course, that you were going to take on my picks. So we're not going to mention the fact that you lied on air to all these wonderful people. But they're getting in here. They want to talk about this rivalry stuff. And I mean, seriously, who wouldn't want to talk about this rivalry? It's awesome. We have a lot of fun, and everybody needs to get in on the chat because this is going to be an awesome segment. We're going to talk about a little bit of Clemson memories and then give you a little preview and prediction of the South Carolina game. So get in. We're going to talk about these memories here right now, I believe, if Morgan is ready. So if Morgan is ready, let's get some of these memories popping, man. How about it?
I'm ready, man. So let's start us off.
All right. So I think we made a list of top 3 Clemson memories. I'm assuming you went by the bylaws, okay, for this. All right, I'm going to trust you to do this. All right. So I'm going to start with number 1. Here's the way I did this. By the way, I didn't include any moments that I didn't see live. Okay, that I wasn't able to see. I wasn't born for. So I don't want to get a bunch of grief for not picking the catch. Okay, everybody knows the catch is probably the biggest moment in Clemson, South Carolina football history. All right, so get in with your top moments, top memories for Clemson, South Carolina football in on the chat line. Hey, give us a call on the Buffalo Wild Wings hotline as well. That number 864, I believe it's 772-6674. So get in and kind of give us your favorite memories there. All right, my number 1, ladies and gentlemen, I said I couldn't mention the catch. I didn't say I couldn't mention the catch too. All right. Look, we did a top 5 list, several months ago about Clemson, South Carolina moments, but it's a little time for a refresher, okay? You can never go over these Clemson, South Carolina memories enough. I was sitting with my dad in the box, Woody Dantzler to Rod Gardner for 50 yards with about 10 seconds left and seemingly no hope, ladies and gentlemen. Gardner makes the grab. South Carolina fans cry push off. Aaron Hunt with a 25-yarder to win 16-14. Ladies and gentlemen, awesome game. Bar none, my favorite memory of Clemson, South Carolina. The fact that it was just kind of a last-second game, needing a miracle to win, and a little bit of extra salty chicken tears due to what they perceived as a missed call, just made the moment the most special that I've experienced for sure. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know if you're kind of a millennial Tiger fan. Now we'll kind of, let everybody know we were born in the 80s, in the late 80s. So if you're a millennial Tiger fan, I think the catch number 2 is your all-time favorite, especially if you went to that game, which I did, but I wasn't in the box. See, I'm not high roller like the Adams family over there.
Once upon a time, my friend.
I was not in the box, and I was down there freezing my tail off, 32 degrees, right next to my dad. Pretty big guy at the time. He's kind of lost a lot of weight since then, but pretty big guy at the time. He had a blanket with us, so, I wasn't that cold. But I'll tell you, we had a couple of Gamecock fans behind us. It was a husband and wife. Gamecock fan wife, Clemson fan husband. And I remember asking my dad, how does that even work? Like I'm sure they didn't last. I mean, this just can't be possible. I just felt like as a kid, I'm thinking there's no way that you would even do this. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? I mean, marriage is tough enough, but then to go marry a Gamecock fan? I don't know how I feel about that. I don't even know if that can work. I mean, people say house divided, and I kind of like, really? Is it house divided?
Nah,
I don't know. I don't know
not
if I
over
really
that.
believe that. But catch number 2 is mine. I'm looking at, standing there with my dad in the cold, seeing him catch that ball. It was one of those things where didn't know what was going to happen. And then they come out and kick the field goal and win the game, and it was awesome. And I remember those fans behind us. The wife was mad, the husband was happy, and I was like, again, how's this marriage ever going to last? But I will say that was my favorite memory. For me, number 2, Al, I don't know if this will be your number 2, but I think this is a lot of people's number 2, 56-7. Now, I know this is a newer one. Again, we're millennial Tiger fans here, so I know a lot of my old school Tiger fans are going to say, I believe it was 1980, the Orange Britches game, and I respect that. But as Alan said, we weren't at that game, so we weren't even born then, so can't really count that game. But if you count that game, the Orange Britches game, hey, believe me, that's a historical event and pretty awesome. When I read back and look back on that game, that was a great game for sure. But 56-7 for me, really it was capped off. Not only was I with my family, who I have 2 or 3 Gamecock graduates from my family, and they all got to sit there with me eating Thanksgiving leftovers and enjoying the beatdown. And I got to see all excuse after excuse of why they couldn't hang with us. And I got to hear them talk about how great Clemson is. And it was just like icing on the cake, man. It was just so great. It was like Thanksgiving dinner all over again.
Yep.
56-7. But then after that game was over, my man Mickey Plyler, he comes out on 105.5 The Roar, one of our affiliate, we're affiliated with them. But he comes out, and every morning at 7:56, he played 7 seconds of 2001, and then 56 seconds of Tiger Rag, and it ended like perfectly on CLEMSON, perfectly right on the end. So to me, I think he did that for the rest of the year, and that was just awesome for like 2 months or a month and a couple days straight. All of December, he did that, and I'm like, man, this is what heaven is like right here. But so that was my number 2.
Yeah, that is one of the greatest moments in all of radio. So I want to give Plyler a lot of credit for that. I like listening to his show in the morning, and that was fantastic when they were making fun of them for that. Actually, I'm not even going to mention the fact that, you just mentioned you saw that game on TV and you were not at the game. But we're just going to move on to my number 2. My number 2 is 63-17. Look, that was a crazy year for Clemson, okay? 2003, they were destroyed by Georgia to start that year in what, I don't care what anybody says, it was the hottest game in Death Valley ever. We kind of came home from the river to watch this game, and we got beat 30-0, and it was about 142 degrees. So that was not fun. But we did beat a ranked Virginia team. Then we got hammered by Wake Forest. Everybody remembers that. I think it was like 45-17 or something to that effect. It was not a good game. And, then we got a huge win against Florida State. I don't know what they were ranked at the time, but they were highly ranked when they came into Death Valley. So then they waltz into Williams-Brice Stadium. I'm pretty sure Clemson was a slight underdog in this game, and then they proceed to give them one of the worst beatdowns in this rivalry history. It was fantastic. Whitehurst was able to find pretty much anybody he wanted all night. Curry, Hamilton, Youngblood, they were all running wide open. Had some good running games as well there, So the stands were empty except for the Orange at halftime, and it was an amazing sight to see, just the fact that it was in their building. I'm hoping we see something similar this year.
Yeah, Al, you got to stop listening to me so closely. But my number 3 is 2007. My number 3 is 2007, 23-21. Mark Buckholtz with a game-winning kick. The reason why it's so important to me is because he kicked the game winner, but the year before that, I was in Iraq, and they missed, and they lost, and they won by, I think they lost by like a field goal, and I had everybody to rag on me. Just about the whole rest of the deployment was just miserable Gamecock fans just beating me down, rubbing it in my face. Well, hey, you win the game, you can do that. But then it was so nice to finally come back, get the season started. They started the season off winning against Florida State. I was actually there for Alan, for you, Alan. I was actually there at that game. But I will say, whether I'm there or not, I'm there in spirit. All right. But 2007, 23-21, kicks the field goal, and I believe it was the last time they ever wore white tops and blue pant bottoms. Not blue. I'm saying blue, purple. They really were like
threw me there.
they really were like blue back then. Really, I mean, if you really look at them, no, I don't know, but they weren't the purple like they are now.
Yeah.
But they were kind of like a shiny purple that made it look blue on TV. That's why I said blue. But, anyways, white top, purple bottom. I don't even think they do that combination anymore. I think Dabo Swinney kind of threw that one out.
He did.
But they won the game. Very happy for that. And so that was my number 3. Let us know in the comments what you think for your, most favorite Clemson moments in the rivalry.
Yep.
Let's see what we got over on YouTube.
Anybody getting in? I got a couple people saying 63-17 over here. I got somebody saying the catch over here. Al said the catch. Ty says 63-17. He was there. Actually, I'll tell you what. I'll go ahead while you're checking out those comments and give you my number 3. I'm glad we kind of differed a little bit. Or I thought we were going to have all of our 3 the same, but since you went with 2007, that kind of changes things up a little bit because number 3 for me was 56-7. Obviously it was a big game for the Tigers after they went to Columbia the year before and played a little too close for comfort, to be honest with you. That was a game where it looked like we were gonna kind of dominate. That's when they scored that garbage touchdown near the end, made it a lot closer than that game really was, for sure. And that could have cost us the chance at the playoffs. They left no doubt in this game. And 56-7, obviously, destroyed the Gamecock dreams from start to finish in this one. Complete with Mike Williams, piggybacking Jamarcus King into the end zone. It's one of the most infamous plays in Clemson football history. Everybody loves that. And I believe that's the game where they got the curtain call as well. That was when he had the curtain call for the seniors, and Gamecocks were crying about that as well. So that was beautiful to hear. I love anytime they're sad. It's a great thing. So I love this rivalry. It's an awesome thing. It's a great feeling. And it's a lot of fun too. And especially when we're on the side that we're on now. Obviously, it was not so fun when we had lost 5 in a row. I can't even believe I'm having to mention this on air, but it was not so fun when we lost 5 in a row. I had just joined an extended Gamecock family at that point. Okay, my wife and father-in-law, mother-in-law, and sister-in-law are all Tigers. Okay, but everybody else, and they have a big family, are all Gamecocks. Okay, so this was not a good time to be joining that family. So it's nice to be back on the right side of things. We've got our own 5 in a row. Hopefully going to make it 6 and going on 100 here soon.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you that I think, again, the spread is not big enough. If I was a betting person and wanted to be enticed to pick Carolina, I would not take 26 points. Plus 26 just doesn't seem right for me. Some people are saying it's going to be tough for Carolina. They're still saying Edwards might be out. I mean, the last I heard on Twitter, Reddit, and some of the articles that I read, Edwards was still out. He had his knee scoped a couple of days ago, maybe a week and a half ago. But some people are saying now they're coming out and saying he's supposed to play, and he's listed on the depth chart for the game. Okay. So, I mean, that'll be a difference maker there. I mean, if he's doubtful and he doesn't play, it's not going to be good for sure. I mean, Shi Smith would be about the only guy they have. Tavian Feaster, I think, unfortunately, their rushing leader, not a good decision for him to go to Carolina. I mean, maybe for him personally, but not for him statistically. And I don't think it's going to be good for him. Al, asking you about the decision that you're going to make. So, Clemson versus Carolina, minus 26. They have Elinsky, Feaster, Edwards. Mm-hmm. But I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it with minus 26. It's not enough to make me say, give me the other team. I don't even think if you gave me 50 points, I would ever pick Carolina in a rivalry game on this date, at the end of the season. There's no way. Yeah. No way I'm picking Carolina. Even when Clemson was, getting 5 bombed by those Steve Spurrier lovers out there. Yeah. There's no way. So I'm looking for 6 in a row. That's right. It's 6 in a row, right?
Yes.
I mean, this is the thumb, right? The one where everybody was telling us, oh, beware of the thumb. They were making all those T-shirts about beware of the thumb. Don't we have a chance to now say beware of the thumb? I think that the water bottles are going to have more success than South Carolina's offense this Saturday. I think that the fact that they were just shut down against Texas A&M is a sign of bad things to come for them. I believe that 63-17 is going to be just a distant memory after Saturday. I'm going with 66-10 Clemson to win with their 6. So 66 for number 6. Let's get all the sixes. I know sixes are kind of bad luck. I'm going to take that back.
Not a good deal.
Let's go 67 for number 6. No, I don't even know if you can score 67. I'm not really sure. Maybe they go for 2. Maybe they go for 2. So 67 for number 6 is my pick. Clemson wins by 57 points.
I like it. I like where you're going with that. You know, South Carolina seems to be kind of limping to the finish line here, losing 4 of their last 5 games. You know, there's no bowl game for Muschamp and the Gamecocks. So their only hope is to spoil Clemson Tigers' chance at the playoffs. I mean, obviously they would love to do so. It's one of my greatest fears every year going into this game that we are going to be undefeated, playoff hopes on the line, and that we could possibly anyway lose that game. It just absolutely tears me apart because by the end of the week, I will have convinced myself that we have a shot to lose this game. Okay, you know, Muschamp's going to throw the kitchen sink at us. Absolutely. They're going to try to change up the way they're doing things. I see some trick plays coming. I see a fired up crowd, all that kind of stuff. You know, I just simply don't see the Gamecocks having enough to compete in this one. Even with Brian Edwards, I think that would be a huge boost for them. But I think he would be limited at best. And I don't think that he would be enough to kind of make this one close, let's say. So, you know, they're players of note are Shi Smith, you know, Ryan Helinski and Javon Kinlaw, obviously. And those are good players for sure. Kinlaw can really disrupt the offensive line. And if he does that against Clemson, you know, maybe he causes Trevor Lawrence some problems, couple turnovers, something like that. Really the only shot they got. I just think Clemson's simply too talented at every position. You know, South Carolina is vulnerable across the middle. So, you know, we'll have to see if Clemson will utilize that more than usual, as we mentioned before. You know, even if the Gamecocks can keep it close until half, I think the Tigers pull it away in the end. So I am saying a final score prediction of Clemson 55, South Carolina 17.
55-17. So we both kind of predicted a high-scoring game for the Tigers, not so high of a scoring for South Carolina. Not going to be a good day for our friends in the Midlands there. What do you think over on Facebook and YouTube? Let us know if we're way off base. Are we right on target? Hey, if you want to get in before the show ends, we still have open phone lines right now. 2 lines open. Al, how many you got over on Facebook, and you got anything interesting in the comments there?
We got about 18 over here on Facebook. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what we got over here. Talking about Dabo not trampling too much on a defeated team. It's something that Dabo doesn't like to do, but I'm hoping he chooses to do so this weekend. We did have a fun trivia question I kind of wanted to get with you as we close it out here. Trivia question from Al. What uniform combination did Clemson wear in Sweeney's first game as a head coach? Any idea?
Sweeney's first game was,
I'm pretty sure it was against Georgia Tech, was it not?
Yeah, Georgia Tech. And was it a loss? I don't remember.
I think we did lose that game, actually.
I don't think it was
a close one, but I think we lost.
Yeah. I you know what? I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing it's something with blue or purple pants.
Because you mentioned the blue pants, right? The faux blue pants.
You know, this is why I do it live, because, hey, what you see is what you get. You know, people pick on me all the time. Morgan, how could you forget the score of the Georgia game 15 years ago? Well, it was 15 years ago. That's how I forgot. I got other things going on. Morgan, why did you call the purple pants blue pants? Well, because, you know, on TV they look blue. Maybe my LG TV is out of date. Maybe it's my fault. I'm not buying enough equipment here to keep up with the color schemes, the RGB color spectrum here.
That wouldn't happen if you were at the game, just FYI.
Oh, wow. Well, hey, I say I'm at the game even if I'm not, because I'm there, you know. But hey, you know, you want to pick on me about not being at the game, but I'm saving money. Dave Ramsey.
Oh, goodness gracious. Al, you got to get in and tell us the answer to this thing. I'm going to guess the white tops, orange bottoms, just because they shouldn't have technically been wearing orange bottoms that day. That's what I'm going to go with. So give us get in on the line and kind of tell us what we missed here, if we're on it, if we're off, or whatever. I'd really like to know the answer to that question. So Morgan, wrap us up here, brother. Obviously, you know, we got the Clemson game dominating against South Carolina. Obviously, that's what everybody wants to see. It's what every Tiger fan wants to see, and all of America really wants to see, if we're just being honest with everybody. So what you got to end us out here, man?
Matthews on YouTube, 45-14. Clemson, Luke Godwin saying typical scrimmage by the fourth quarter. 56-10 this year. Mister saying that. Matthews also saying, man, he would love 57-point win. He could only wish for. Just wait till Sunday, baby. You'll get it. It's coming. I am a lock on that. Put it down. Put the money on it. But yeah, hey, I wanted to say before we go, big shout out to our Clemson basketball team, gold medal grit. They come out and they played TCU in Las Vegas at 10:30 p.m. last night. Man, I stayed up, late to watch that game, but they ended up winning. They were down by 15 with like 6 minutes to go, and they came back and they won the game in overtime. Now, hey, last year, Clemson could not buy a close win to save their life, and they came around, even though they tried to lose the game. They could not hit a free throw at the end of the game. Alamir Dawes missed 2. Amir Sims missed 1. It was crazy. I was so frustrated that they were missing these free throws. I think Tevin Mack missed a free throw, but they ended up coming out clutch and winning the game 62-60, I believe, in overtime, beating TCU, a team that could actually score a lot and a really good team, to be honest with you, just 2 years removed from the NCAA tournament. So great win for the Tigers. They are only one loss. They're 6-1 right now, I believe. Or let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-1. They're 5-1 right now on the chance to go 6-1 tomorrow night, 11:30 p.m. I know it's a late one, but maybe you have Wednesday off because you're because of work and the holidays, so maybe you'll be able to watch it. 11:30 at night over in Las Vegas. Number 23, Colorado. They have a 53.8% chance, according to the FPI, to win the game. But I think Clemson has a chance, guys. Let's root for them. Let's show up and watch it. They're doing pretty good. It's going to be tough for them. They don't have a big man. They don't have a really down low presence. But as long as they can keep the shooting going, and if they win the field goal percentage, they can win the game. So great job for the Tigers there. But that's it for us over on the Morgan Thomas Show with Big Al. We hope you enjoyed watching us over on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, wherever you're at. If you're listening to us on the Roar Radio, 105.5 FM, 97.5 FM, wherever you listen to podcasts, we're on podcasts as well. But that's it for us. My name is Morgan Thomas.
And I'm Alan Adams.
And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you at the top of the hill.